I know personally in my own network dozens upon dozens of women who struggled with their fertility, with their pregnancies, with their childbirth, and yet we don't talk about it because it is am or it's shameful, or why are you going to put your dirty laundry out like that, which is, all of it to me is garbage.
You are now listening to the Arab is Me podcast.
Ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to the Arab is Me podcast. I am your host, Saeed Durra. Welcome again to the Arab is Me podcast, the podcast that reminds you being an Arab is not just about where you're from, it's about who you are. I thank all of you for being here today and listening/watching the Arab is Me podcast. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, share, put it on your family WhatsApp. Tell them it's very important, and let them share that, mashallah, as WhatsApp news all over the world. So with that being said, I have a very special guest with us here today. A lot of times people say the words mover and shaker, but I literally joke and say I now say mover and shaker because Isra Chaker is a pretty amazing individual. Let's go ahead and we'll bring her in. What's up, Isra?
Salam Saeed. It's so nice to be here with you. What is this? Arab is Me? You're a host? Finally, I've been waiting for you to start a podcast.
Yeah. Everybody said it's going to be awkward for me because they said, so you're going to let other people talk? And I said, yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be tough.
You're going to roast us. You're going to roast us out here.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here.
Of course. And happy to have you as well. Like I said, right off the bat, Isra is a mover and shaker in the community. And I don't want to use that incorrectly. When people say that, it gets a little bit cliche. She's a mover and shaker because if there's something you need to move in a positive direction, Isra is going to move it. And if you tell her she can't, you're going to be shaken by the end of it, mashallah. So I'm really happy to have her. She's also founder and CEO of Every Pregnancy. Isra leads that organization and really helps spearhead its vision to make every pregnancy safe by mobilizing faith-inspired philanthropy, forging global partnerships, and driving high-impact campaigns like For Mama, the For Mama campaign. I remember that well, to save the lives of mothers and babies in the world's most vulnerable communities. And by the way, if I really read her full bio, we would be here probably third or fourth night of Ramadan. Maybe after 8 rak'ahs, we would finish reading it, mashallah. Now, that's not because she provided it to me. She didn't provide it to me at all. I'm just telling you all, Isra does a lot in the community. She has done a lot. She's doing a lot. And inshallah, she will continue to do a lot. So I really am happy to have you, Isra. And say mashallah, everyone who's hearing this, mashallah, 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 mashallah. Isra is out and about. And like I say about all my guests, I don't want her to fall on the sidewalk later after somebody hears the podcast because they didn't say mashallah. So please say mashallah. May Allah continue to protect her. So that's your mashallah intro. Isra.
Wow, Saeed, that was the best introduction I've ever heard, ever. I mean, honestly, I can listen to that all day. I'm going to replay. I'm just kidding. This is an honor to be here. And mashallah for you too. And thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to get into this conversation with you, brother.
Of course. And I had to give the big intro because my dad wouldn't forgive me. He'd be like, "Hadi min Suriya, la hadi banatna." Yani, he would be upset if I didn't. But before I get going, Isra, I like to ask a very kind of Arab gauging question right off the bat. And that question is, and this helps kind of set the mood, and it's very selfish because it's really all about how I feel about the guest after they answer this question. But my question for you, Isra, is, again, to gauge the Arabness here. If I and my family were coming over to your family's house and we consider this Arab is Me podcast like we're meeting up for Azuma. So my family shows up to your house. I know your family throw down. I need to know what's al sufra. I need to know what is being served so I can decide how Arab this Arab is Me podcast episode is going to be.
I love this question. Well, first of all, I'm from Damascus, Syria. Both my parents hail from the beautiful land of Syria. And I will tell you, of course, you were going to have the kibbeh, You are going to have the yabra and the yalanji probably, which is a variation of grape leaves, everybody, for those tuning in. You're going to have the patouche or tabbouleh, and you're going to have the best hummus and mtabbal out there on the world. So it's going to be the best sofra, very Syrian delicacies. Or we can go the Lebanon route, and you may have shakriye or sheikh, which is kusa bil laban, or shish barak, super Syrian. Does not get more Syrian than this.
No, this is a very good it's a very good setup that you have. The only issue I have is where you said or. I prefer and
And
for us to add and, not or. But it's okay. You still scored a lot of points. Those are a lot of my
that's
favorites.
good.
And also, I like I said, I know you and your family can throw down. I remember your mom being like a vendor at some event one time, and she had her food there, and just because I knew I was going to start the podcast, Isra, and I had to do a lot of research and development, I had to try all of it many times. I normally wouldn't have eaten that much, but it's part of the job,
You know,
unfortunately.
one of my mom's signature dishes is harab asbao, which is what you ended up eating that you loved a lot. The most
Yeah,
delicious Syrian
uh,
delicacy.
I loved it. I loved it all. But again,
Yeah.
now khalas, we've put everything on the table, and people always ask me, why do you start immediately with that question? Because I say, like any Arab azuma, there's really not like this 2 hours of chit chat. Like al tawla, yalla, right, direct from the door. Don't even take off your shoes. Actually, it depends.
Take off your shoes. Take off your
Take off
shoes.
your shoes, yeah, these days especially. So take off your shoes and get eating. So Isra, all
Yeah, but
jokes aside, I want you to fill in the audience who doesn't know what I know on, first, before we get to every pregnancy. I want you to fill them in on what brought you to every pregnancy, whether it be professionally or otherwise.
yeah, it's such a good question. Well, first I'll start off with the personal. For those who don't know me, I'm a mom to a beautiful, mashallah, baby boy. He's not a baby anymore, but he's still my baby. He's 4.5 years old. And my son is what really, really got me to understand the trials and tribulations that moms go through during their pregnancy and their childbirth. I experienced pregnancy complications in a way that I never expected or imagined, especially for someone who's super healthy and living in the United States of America with access to the best services, the best care, best doctors. And yet I still suffered through my pregnancy and developed a heart condition that I had to then be seen and treated for and monitored very closely. And I remember during my pregnancy and then in my delivery, which was very rough, I was in labor for almost 30 hours. And then postpartum was really rough on me. I kept thinking to myself, I don't know if I was born anywhere else in the world or if I was delivering anywhere else in the world, if I would have survived this experience. And that in itself, that question, you really sit with when you go through this experience. And I'm sure there are many listeners here who've had really challenging pregnancies or deliveries, or they know somebody who has had these complications. If you really think about it, you think about how privileged you are that you are in a community where you can get the resources that you need to have a safe delivery and a healthy baby at the end of the day that you're going home with. But so many women in the world don't have that. So my personal journey reminded me and told me at that time when I had my son that I'm going to do everything I possibly can to support moms and babies in this journey because I saw firsthand how hard it was. At the time, I was working full time at the leading human rights organization in the world, leading their campaigning for different civil rights active movements and immigration and all the different things that I, as you know me, Saeed, as an activist first and foremost, we're all about fighting for human rights of everybody. And so I wasn't expecting to shift my career into one focus on maternal health whatsoever. And subhanAllah, I got a call from leadership at a foundation that essentially said, hey, we would love to talk to you. You're the best campaigner we know. And we don't know what the answer to this question is, but we want to see if we can get the Muslim community to engage with maternal health in a way that actually makes sense, in a way that prioritizes it. But there was no answers and no roadmap. And, at first I said, why would you want me involved in this? Like, I don't know the first thing about public health or maternal health. But I realized very quickly that this was not actually a question around health, but it was actually a question around motivating people power and getting people to care and buy into something bigger than themselves, especially around maternal health. So when I started to assess the landscape and I realized Muslim moms die at higher rates than any other community globally, I first realized, well, this is a problem, not just a problem that we should just worry about, from time to time, but this is an urgent crisis that we should all be doing something about. Because how are we, the most philanthropic community globally, the most giving and most generous, and yet our moms are dying at the highest rates? And then we know the position of moms in Islam. We know how we look at our mothers. So that even was more motivation for me of how is this happening and what can we do to change it? And so that's what sparked every pregnancy at the time, was just this idea that we can get the Muslim community to prioritize maternal and newborn health in the same way they prioritize giving to food and water, which are very important causes. We just need to find the right vehicle and the right mechanism to do that. And so taking those statistics, which is every 2 minutes a mom dies from preventable complications in her pregnancy or childbirth, and really taking that as a motivation, as a mission call, so let's do something about it. Our community can do something about it. We are equipped. We are smart enough. We have the resources. We have the solutions, and they're so affordable. And we have the motivation. We're just missing that infrastructure to get us there. And that's, alhamdulillah, what I built.
No, I think it's an amazing initiative. It's an amazing organization. It's much needed. And I want to touch on a part that you already mentioned, which is, if all faiths, in my opinion, and I know we often mention Islam when we talk about, Jannah is at the feet of our mother, heaven is at the feet of our mother, but all faiths have a very true belief and really hold strong to this idea on how important our mothers are. So you touched on it, and I want to ask you, quite frankly, how has it been with trying to kind of rewire and reconfigure mindsets around the work that you're doing versus that food box or that hygiene kit?
To be honest with you, it was very tough at the beginning of this, not just from the community perspective, it was also from the organizational perspective, to get the organizations that I know are delivering these programs and are doing them, to even prioritize them was a challenge, right? Because for them, they're used to their same playbook. Where they raise the most money is food, water, orphan support. That's just the data. It is what it is. The community gives. And of course, crisis response. So urgency, the Gaza genocide, the Sudan, crisis, all of that motivates people to just give because they just want to do something about it. So I had to first convince the organizations that are doing this work, to really invest in it and best type of work that's actually going to save mothers' lives. And one of the biggest things that I came across when I was starting this was a lot of these organizations, Saeed, would do hygiene kits. And these hygiene kits, they thought that was a sufficient maternal health program. Now, of course, a hygiene kit is tied to dignity, and every woman deserves to have dignity in her hygiene, right? And so being able to provide her that kit. But that kit is a Band-Aid solution that will be utilized in less than a month. And so for me, that's not addressing the root cause of what is actually causing moms to die. And what's really causing moms to die is in their pregnancy and their childbirth, not getting access to the right resources, the right medication, the right monitoring, and then during their delivery, bleeding out and not no one, including the midwife, knowing what to do in that situation and how to resolve it. So I really understood that this is what we need to get the organizations to buy into and to lead this effort. And so that was the first step I took. Then when you're looking at the community, how do you get the community to even rewire their brain and conditioning away from a food box? And I didn't want them to feel like I was trying to tell them not to invest in food boxes, because of course, food, water are critical survival needs. And we know that. You've been in the humanitarian space for your entire career. You're very well aware that this is important and needs must be met, because how can people survive without food and water? And then I will also say that I would tell them yes to food, yes to water, and let's address the root causes of what's causing our moms to need our support. Because if you really think about it, how are you going to make sure that a family is really thriving in life? How? You already know this, and I already know this. My family, a mom. A mom is what causes a family to be a healthy unit. She is the core of it. And if you have a healthy and thriving mother, you will have healthy and thriving children, and you'll have healthy and thriving societies and a community overall. But when a mom is not taken care of and her health is not met and she dies or passes away, What is the likelihood of her family surviving that? What is the likelihood of her children surviving that? I will tell you that when a mother dies in delivery, the chance of survival for her newborn, even if it's the healthiest newborn, drops to 37% instantly. So we're not just talking about, my feelings and vibes. We're talking about actual data and real statistics here that are driving the understanding that when you save a mom's life, that you will save most likely her family and provide them the best future possible at the end of the day. And so for me to work with the community to really use social media, to use influencers, to use public figures and scholars, and use our faith and use every messaging I could, to be honest with you, to really get the message across that when you invest in a mom, you're actually investing in everything, the future really for this whole family. People understood that very easily. And I think it's not about, like you said, it's not about picking one or the other. It's about doing both. And when you realize that solutions that, that can save a mom's life are 50 cents, are $4 vitamins that will last her entire pregnancy and give her all the iron she needs, right? Or a 50-cent drape that measures her blood loss and delivery, you start to think like, oh my gosh, like 50 cents. Like, what do I spend 50 cents on? Nothing costs 50 cents in the world anymore today. Your most basic coffee is $4 or $5 for a latte. Okay, so put that into postpartum hemorrhage drapes. And now you just provided drapes to save 10 women in delivery with that same cup of coffee. So it's just about really having the community understand. But I will tell you that once the message was out there, the community resonated beautifully. I mean, so much so that we were able to raise $130 million over the last 3 Ramadans total for maternal newborn health projects in over 21 countries. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Mashallah. No, that's great. And that's very near and dear to me, as I think you're aware, but in case you're not, I had family members, specifically cousin in Gaza, who gave birth to twins, and the twins were laid back into her arms deceased, simply because they didn't have the equipment that was needed. They didn't have the items that were needed. And so I have found that one of the most interesting things here, at least in the US, when somebody says to you, so-and-so's gone into labor, there's smiles and there's just this expectation that a few hours later, they're going to get a text with a picture of the baby and it's going to be all great. But in the areas that you're describing, when somebody is going into labor, it is a moment for a lot of families to hold their breath because they are very worried about that. And so I want to ask you this question, with all of that being said, do you feel like we as a community need to do more of a job with normalizing discussions around pregnancy the same way that we have normalized something as honestly as crazy and as disgusting as prostate exams and things like that? Because if you think about it, people always say, oh, pregnancy, that can be kind of a nasty thing. What's a prostate exam? But people talk about their prostates. Wallahi, they talk about it like it's adi. People will be like, don't tell them that I'm going for a job interview. Just tell them I was getting my prostate checked on the way home. So now your prostate is something that is out in the open, but I can't know that you're having your katabektab in 6 months. The things that we keep secret. So do you think us as an Arab community, do we need to start talking about it more?
Of course, we need to get our community to talk more about pregnancy and more about childbirth and what a woman goes through during the whole experience. I think there's such taboos and misconceptions around this. In fact, when I first started every pregnancy and I would start to talk about to these organizations, I'd say, what's your women's health program? They would be like, oh, we don't really call anything women's health. And I said, why? And they said, because, the taboo, you say women's health, people think family planning, people think abortion. And so it just showed me this domino effect of how our community is actually so behind in the conversations that we need to be having around this. And yet so many of our moms, like I said, are suffering, but also I know personally in my own network, dozens upon dozens of women who struggled with their fertility, with their pregnancies, with their childbirth. And yet we don't talk about it because it is ayib or it's shameful, or why are you going to put your dirty laundry out like that? Which is, all of it to me is garbage, right? It's not actually real. It's all based off of the way that we've been conditioned to believe life to be. But I will tell you that in having conversations that are open, the amount of women and the amount of even their allies, right? Their husbands, their partners, their fathers, the men in their community, the men in their circles who have stepped up to the plate and have recognized that they have a role to play here too, that they have to do something about this. And part of that starts with just having these conversations and saying that, like, no, it's not easy. Pregnancy is extremely challenging. Mental health issues related to pregnancy and childbirth are extremely prevalent. And if we don't start supporting a mom and providing her the ecosystem that she needs to be able to actually help nurture herself back to health and back to herself and then her baby, then how are we expecting our communities to, in our societies, to thrive long term as Arabs? It's not just about popping out kids. I've heard that too. Yalla, this is our mandate Islamically, is for women to just have children. This is our fitrah. This is who they are. But then we don't think about what environment are we creating for mom to be able to do that? What environment are we creating for mom to feel supported? And what environment are we creating for women to also be like, this is not easy for me, and I actually find it miserable, and I need help. I really need help. And so I've really realized so much in the past 3 years about the misconceptions that we need to shatter and the stereotypes. It really does start with conversations between couples, family dining tables, and then more broadly in the community.
Yeah, I ran my own test that I didn't even know I was running this test this Ramadan, and I'll explain it real quick. When I start going, especially in those last 10 nights of Ramadan, I tend to send out text messages to tons of friends, even if I haven't spoken to them for a year, and I ask them, is there anything you need me to pray for specifically for you? And I make myself a list. This is not, I'm not some special being. A lot of people do this practice, like wanting to make a list. Typically, they would do it if they're going to Hajj or Umrah, or they're going to, Quds or something, But
Yeah.
Isra, I was shocked, and I ended up counting it up. And I know that this is kind of related yet unrelated, but out of the women who replied, 1/3 shared with me that they need prayers around fertility and their pregnancy, whether it be to get pregnant or because of complications they're already having with their pregnancy. 1/3.
Wow. I'm not surprised.
And it was heartbreaking for me, Isra, mostly because I thought to myself, wait, I'm not being a very good friend that all of this information I'm finding out on a random night in Ramadan. I had no idea that this was happening. But then I looked back at my messages and I realized I had spent a good amount of time asking people throughout the year, how's it going? How you doing? Just checking up on you. How's everything? But it wasn't until Ramadan that I got, like, I guess you would consider to be the real answer. So my question then, to add on to what we already discussed, is what should I be saying, or should I be asking, or should I be doing in these circumstances to respect the space and privacy of a woman or of a couple who might be going through this, but at the same time be supportive and be present for these struggles, so that maybe they do feel this is okay for us to talk about it?
Absolutely. So first of all, I want to just double down and say, like, Said, actually, like, I appreciate you so much, because you are someone who reaches out to your friends consistently. Everything you just said, I can verify. Like, he really does do that. He messaged me in Ramadan. He checks in on me and my son all the time. And so really, you're a real one for that. And I promise, if there's no appreciation that's given from people enough to show you what that really means, I want you to know that here on the record, that it really is a unique characteristic in you. And it's like such a beautiful quality. May Allah protect you. And everything that you make dua for us on, may Allah give it back to you times 100. I think this is such a beautiful question, because it really depends on who you're talking to, the closeness of your relationship, and their comfort level. Now, I will tell you, when I was struggling in my pregnancy, I didn't tell anybody outside of my family about it. Not because I was ashamed of it or scared to share it. I think I was so overwhelmed with the condition itself and the impact of it on my life that I was just praying to God that like I could have a safe pregnancy. My son made it through and I could deliver him, and alhamdulillah, him being healthy baby boy. And so I realized the time afterwards that I had so much trauma from the experience that I had built up that I'd never shared with anybody, that it then in my postpartum like just unleashed. And it was like I have so much to share about how horrifying that experience was for me. And then I went to my close friends and I went to my therapist, and there was a lot of different people involved in that support system for me outside of my family that I thought was really, really important. So I will tell you, I think first and foremost, I never ask anybody directly if they're struggling with this. I think that that's inappropriate, to be honest. And I used to get that question all the time because I didn't get pregnant until 5 years into my marriage. And so I would get asked, when are you going to have a kid? When are you going to have a baby? What, do you not want a baby? Are you having issues? Yalla ya khale, yani hurry it up, hurry it up. You know, all the Arab aunties and ammos. And what are you waiting for? You're getting older, you're not getting younger. So it's like I heard everything under the sun. And so for me, that people had no idea how much that affected me and how hard that was for me to hear, because I would just keep that smile because I'm like, who are these people to know anything about my life? I'm just going to keep it moving along because I'm not mentally or emotionally prepared to have a conversation with you about anything, let alone feel safe enough to do it. So one thing is like my biggest advice is don't ask unless someone gives you the clarity or the signal that they are interested in that. But what you can do is, how's life going? How is your family? Anything that your child going through that you want to talk through? Is there anything that I can support you on? I ask questions that are not just generic, but still indicate that I want to know if they're going through something that I can be supportive of. It could be in any category. It doesn't have to be just in this. It could be work, family, whatever it may be. But let's say someone tells you, I'm really struggling with this, right? Like these du'as that you got. I personally always then say to that person and express to that person, I'm really sorry that you're going through this. I can't imagine what that experience is like. If I really can't imagine it, I can't relate to it. But I'm deeply empathize because I'm sure that it's a struggle, and I'm sure that it takes a lot out of you mentally and emotionally and physically even. Is there any way that I can be supportive for you? Whether that be a listening ear, whether that be to do something physically, to be more supportive, like actually take action in some way beyond dua. Maybe there's something that you can do and support them on, and just sort of leave it there. And if the person goes, oh no, just your du'as, which is what our typical community would always say, then great. You've made the request, you put the intention, and then you just say 100% you have them. And if it's okay with you, I would love to check in with you from time to time. But if it's also not okay with you for me to do that and not communicate with you on this topic, I completely understand. So actually, that's what I've done to people. I've said, like, you may not want me to communicate with you on this topic, but I'm just putting it out there that I would be happy to show up for you in that way if that's what you want. And if that's not what you want, no hard feelings. I'm not taking it personal because it's not about me. And I'll just show up for you the way that you want. And I feel like that series of questioning and empathy and just being there and understanding was really, really the game changer for me in the conversations I've been having with people. And also something really important to point out before I pass it back to you is the no interrogation piece to this. When I did share things that I went through with people, the people that then followed up with a million questions. Well, why didn't you just do this? Well, why didn't you just think about this? Well, did you think about this? Did you do that? No, you should really do that. I hate the word should. It just removes your agency and autonomy. I remember that was extremely deflating. Like instantly, did not want to ever talk to you about this ever again. For anyone who asked for the questions in that way, but for those just sat there and being like, "Let me know what I can do of service for you." I love that. And it allowed me to either say yes, no, maybe so, or feel comfortable sharing more. And so I just feel like approach people with curiosity, with openness, with kindness, with warmth, and no judgment and no guidance and advice. Not people aren't sharing this because they want you to give them your opinion and what you would have done in these shoes. Rather, just hear them out and just respond accordingly.
Yeah, and if I can add something to that,
Yeah,
that
please.
I think would be great for the men out there is
That
that there is an extra step that we can take, And that is also to normalize the ability to have conversations with your brothers
Yep.
and not put pressure on them and force them into a situation that could complicate things for their marriage or their relationship with their partner. As an example, hey
Yep.
bro, let's go out Friday night, and let's go play soccer or whatever it may be. Okay, great. Yeah, the thing is, because my wife right now, she's just been having issues with the pregnancy. Tayyib, is 9 o'clock okay? Like, don't don't gloss
Exactly. Don't
over
do
it.
that.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
be a man in that situation to say tabhalas, like you do it for them, because there's
Yes.
going to be times where, like,
Yes.
I hate to say it, but there's going to be men out there who are going through the process of about to be a dad as well for the very first time. And they may feel like they want to just run out of the room and go find their boys and go hang out and leave, their partner behind. But in those situations, I think you need to let them know that it's 1000% okay that they are not with you at that thing if they need to be with their wife. And you may even want to lie every once in a while and say, you know what? Actually, I'm not going to be able to make it tonight. So khalas, let's just do it another night. Like, have some emotional intelligence, read the room, understand that they're going through this kind of, dilemma in their mind right now on if they should stay or if they should go. Don't be the person that makes them go. If they want to,
This
let
is
them do it.
interesting. I was going to say, I remember when I was pregnant and I was going through it, I will tell you the majority of women, not all, majority of women would never tell their partner about a lot of their problems they're going through day to day in the pregnancy. Honestly, they'd be like, everyone does this. My mom did this, like they always say we all had babies from the beginning of time. So like, why are you going to complain? First of all, we already come in as women with feeling like we can't really voice complaints a lot because everyone else has done it and who are we to complain, right? So it's like that's the first thing you're like nervous about sharing your experiences. Then your partner, you're probably thinking too, like, oh, if you love your partner, you want them to go and enjoy their life and you don't want to be a burden. I know I struggle with being a burden and feeling like I'm a burden on people around me, like relationship or friendship or work. Like that's something I work with. I'm working through. But that being said, it's rare that we're gonna ever be like, don't leave me if I'm struggling in my pregnancy, unless of course there's something drastic happening or in the newborn phase, right? Usually we'll be like, let's see what the man is gonna do. Let's see if he's naturally gonna want to stay with me on his own, right? But I also know that men sometimes need to be explicitly told verbatim, no, thank you today. I need you here, right? So whatever it may be. So I was gonna say, like, be more than just self-aware. Also, just be considerate, ultra considerate of your wife or your partner's feelings, ultra considerate, and just say, you know what? She's been struggling with her pregnancy. She's been vomiting nonstop at the beginning of first trimester. I'm just gonna sit with her. Because at the end of the day, there will be hangouts in life with your friends. Those boys will always be around. But this moment in time, when a woman is going through this experience, wallahi, she will never forget who stood by her. She'll never forget who did not stand by her. She'll never forget who neglected her. She'll never forget. Literally, those are things I'll never forget. And I can tell you that even if I want to forget some of the experiences I had, I can't because they were so transformational for me and so foundational that I'm like, I remember who checked on me. I remember who came to see me. I remember who called me. I used to remember these things because that in itself is one of the most vulnerable times of a woman's life, emotionally, mentally, but even physically and even Islamically. We know this in our faith. The first 40 days, especially after delivery, they say the woman's grave is open. The mom grave is open because there's such a high likelihood of, God forbid, complications and her dying. Like, we should assume that that is like the time to invest all hands on deck into moms and their health and into their emotional well-being and mental and physical well-being. So don't you dare think that a mom, when she has her baby, that it's like, cool, Alf Mabruk, move on, it's all good. That's when she needs the most care, starting at that point.
And also, again, for the guys, another PSA.
Guys,
Another PSA for the fellas, okay? And this, Isra is here to check me on this, okay? So you can audit this, what I'm about to say.
Okay.
women won't always tell you when they want you to be right next to them, but they
Yes.
will damn sure tell you when you shouldn't be. So so just
That's,
just play the
listen,
odds there and say, did she or didn't she? If she didn't, she's going to tell you. But if she did, she may not. So if you didn't hear a very explicit "get the heck out of here," maybe
yeah.
pause for a second and think about it. You might even leave the room and go out into the garage. I know, when my sister was going through her pregnancy, and friends and things, there's been many garage self conversations I've had with myself where I go, was I supposed to leave this? Was I, maybe she would, is this, maybe I'll just go and get, yeah, knafa. I'll get her some knafa, and then that'll break things down, so
Yeah.
just another PSA to the guys
Making
out
me laugh,
there.
man. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
To
So
be honest, I need the PSAs. They need them. They
yeah.
just do.
So let me ask you this, kind of pivoting in a way, has this made you feel any extra sense of superhero label for your own mom or for yourself from your mom? And how has that dynamic changed? Because I know all Arab moms always say, "Rahizi yom, you're gonna remember who was the mom and who was the child." So I don't want to assume, but were those moments, and were there also moments potentially where your mom was just like, okay, I got a star here? What was that
Yeah.
like for you?
Well, before I talk about my mom in particular, I want to just say you forgot the biggest thing that Arab moms love to tell their kids, which is wait till one day Allah يجيب لكم أولاد and let's see, inshallah بيعاملوكم مثل ما
Exactly.
بتعاملوني. May your kids
Exactly.
treat you the way that you treat me. And I'm
Yeah.
always like, I treat you like you are a queen. I mean, ya Rab, send it my way. So all that being said, it's so funny that this experience becoming a mom, oh my gosh, forget my pregnancy in itself and building it up in itself, the motivation I feel to help every mom and baby, like it literally gives me goosebumps to talk about it every day. I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you that my motivation, my purpose is so aligned here and so like with full force throttle conviction that I believe that every mom should have a safe and dignified pregnancy, childbirth, and then postpartum recovery process. It is everything about it motivates me every single day. But with my own mom, when I became a mom, I looked at her and I remember telling her, how the heck did you do this 7 times? Keith. Mari fahmani Keith. Like literally no logic in my head. How you did this 7 times, mama. I was like, and she had miscarriages too. And it's not just the seven, mashallah, her actual children who made it, but also the miscarriages. And she laughs like as if it's like a normal thing, like she just accomplished. And I said, you are a jabara. You are a superwoman and you deserve like inti sit bait, inti abadai. Like you're like who are we to think about superheroes being men?
Yeah.
Hello, sorry to tell you, superheroes are our moms. Our moms are the superheroes, especially for the mothers that have been through the complications, that have suffered through them in silence and in their tears, and have gotten up and done it again and again and again. Really, wallahi, it gives you this appreciation for your mom that like you just will never understand until you have a child. And you're like, oh, I really get it now. I really get it. And so for me, I just wanted to learn from her. I looked at my mom as like now, like she was already a role model. But when I became a mom, she became a role model times 1,000. Like it was infinite in my head. So I was like, how did she do this? Like I literally could not understand the logic and the emotional capacity she had for her children and raising us and like still has, right? And so that was my overall experience. I'm like, Mama, teach me your ways, teach me everything. But then I also, when my mom would look at me and saying, you're doing amazing, like, Mama, you got this. That was more satisfaction in that moment, in those moments, than I've ever had from any job promotion, any career move. That moment when I was being told that I was a good mom and I'm doing great for my son, till now, that I get more satisfaction being told that you're an amazing mom. That is a bigger compliment to me than saying you're a bad, to my language, bad. I don't say other. You're a babe. You're a boss babe.
Sure. It's okay. You can say whatever you like.
No, it's fine because I also listen to this episode. But see, أنا شايف your mentality. But you're a boss, babe. I think being called an amazing mom to me carries more weight. So it just changes your perspective on life. Wallahi, it really does. And that's really you compliment my motherhood skills or mothering skills. 100%. That's the weight of my heart over anything else you could say about me.
Which is something, by the way, I don't know if I've ever done for you, Isra. Usually, I'm the one saying, "Shufi ibnik hada, he's looking for something. He's hungry. The مسحيه والله إيش ما-" I'm just kidding. Isra is a super mom. So when I say all of that for all the listeners and for her mom, I'm just being serious. Anyway, no, 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 mashallah, she's an amazing mom. But I want to get to a point where I can ask, a couple other questions that I'm really curious about. And my brain is a little bit different in some cases. Watch what you say, but it's different in some cases in that, like, I think about, certain things and questions, and I oftentimes want to ask my friends. And so as we start to get towards this, latter part of the podcast today, I'm gonna pour a little are you a tea or coffee person?
Coffee, 100%.
Coffee?
Both,
طيب
actually. I
احنا
love shai bin and I love coffee in the morning.
okay, I'm pouring out a little shy right now. People can hear it. And the reason I like to pour a little shy out is because I get to the part of the podcast where I like to ask questions that are things that have been on my mind, and sometimes they can be a little bit out there, but they're things that I think about. And one of the things that I know you would be a great person to answer this question, Isra, is: do you feel like our community is doing enough right now to center voices of the women in our community?
No, I don't. You want me to elaborate?
I would love for you to elaborate, and I could elaborate myself, but go ahead.
Okay, I love that. Saeed, I love that we can have this fully frank and honest conversations because I'm always going to keep it real with you.
Yeah.
We are not doing enough. We just are not. I think our community has made tremendous effort and stride, and I think we're much better than we were, but also just not good enough for where we should be in 2026. The amount of rooms that I walk into that I'm the only woman in still to today is honestly appalling. The amount of conversations and events I'm going to speak at, or I'm the only woman at the entire event or on the panel, is appalling. The amount of recognition and accolades that go to men in our community for doing, to be honest with you, very typical business stuff compared to women who are pioneering and trailblazing new ideas, innovative ideas, is also really disappointing. So ultimately, I think that there are pockets of our community and there's energy around recognizing that women's contributions ultimately are extremely critical, transformational for our society to thrive. Without them, nothing would really exist or operate functionally, to be honest. However, I do think that there is still so much work to be done, and there's still a lack of true support. And I will tell you, like, I've seen this and I've given this feedback. It's not that I'm only talking about it from my little, soapbox over here.
Right.
I've been to places and spaces where I've actually gone to the organizers and I've gone to different people and I said, I really wish, and I always give it in a really kind, respectful, polite, diplomatic manner, because that's how I move. But I've said to them, I really wish that I would have seen more amazing women here, women entrepreneurs, women leaders, women CEOs, women founders. And often it's like, oh no, we tried to grab them. But it's always the first thing I hear. And I'm always like, but did you try? And I was like, well, we don't really know many of them. I'm like, well, what Google search did you do that you couldn't find? Anywhere you look, you can find women that are leading their industries and their respective sectors in the most brilliant and innovative ways. So ultimately, my feedback always to them is like, you should actually start with the women prior to these panels before you introduce a man. And maybe there could be one man on the panel versus all men and one woman. Let's flip the script a bit and see how people do that. But, I think that it requires not just the women to voice those concerns, but actually requires the men to voice these concerns. And if And if you're at these events or you're speaking somewhere and you notice on your own panel, when you get the flyer, when you get the information, that there are no women being recognized here, no speakers, then to be honest with you, I believe it's your responsibility to say something. I believe if you are a good person, a man of conscience who wants to be an ally, who has a partner or has family, has a mom, has a sister, you can understand how that lack of representation can be so harmful. And so I implore you, another PSA, to say something, do something about it.
Yeah, I remember being at a conference and I was a little bit beaten up for saying that in order to get on the panel at this conference as a male, you have to just go to a mosque. But in order to be on the panel as a female, you pretty much have to build one. And so they were like,
Wow.
what do you mean? And I say, I actually push back a little bit, even on something that you had mentioned here, Isra, where I sometimes push back and say, you're not missing women from this panel. You're missing experts who happen to be women. And you could have taken full advantage of the fact that you put some of these experts on the panel who also happen to be women. And at times it irritates me because I feel like we've gone from not including women to including them as and I know you know all about, you've spoken about the tokenism and things like that, but sometimes I still feel like when people include them, they want a high five, and as if they made a concession as opposed to it being a progression of them growing and understanding and being intelligent to put women on the panel. And so that makes me start wondering, are they just wanting the high five to get the high five because they're not getting high fives? Or is there other things at play? Are there other agendas? And I know you know my history. This is not like Isra's on the podcast, so let's talk about it. Like, I try to be about it, but that's the big thing for me, is that if we are going to talk about it in our communities, I think we also shouldn't be shy to say Isra just actually knows better than the two brothers that you put on that panel. So yeah, she happens to be a female, but she also knows her stuff. And you're not just kind of conceding or giving, some sort of trade that you're making here to try to appeal to women. They also know their stuff at a high, if not higher level than the men that you put on this panel. So they should be here and not being afraid of the repercussions for saying so.
That's that's all I want to say. You're amazing. You've been a real one for this, and I agree with you. I think this has been a really interesting conversation in general, and I'm glad that we're talking through all these issues that oftentimes people like to sweep under the rug in our community. That's the truth.
Absolutely. So before we start the wrap up process, I wanted to ask you a couple things about you
Oh,
specifically.
okay.
Um, you mentioned to me that you're really a softie and you're not as intimidating as you look. And in order for somebody to have that perception, they had to have heard it from somewhere. So I'm curious. هيك يعني أنا ابن أمي يعني I like to ask questions. So who told you you look intimidating?
So
And
many people.
and but in what context? Just walking up to you, Isra, I'll take two coffees and you're intimidating?
No, no. Okay, I get this comment actually a lot. Let me just like clear my throat. First of all, I'm intimidating at events when people meet me in person and they see that I'm like very warm and bubbly and like social and I want to get to know them. What's your name? Tell me more. And not like super conceited and nose up in the air. Who are you vibes? They always tell me, oh my God, you just come off like online. You just seem like you're so much more serious, more intimidating. Or for those who work with me or almost work with me, when we get into like a work relationship, they're always like, dang, I was always so scared to meet you because you feel like you're so intimidating online and you're like so like you're a boss babe, like you know what you want, you can tell you have that energy and that confidence, so it feels intimidating. Or even, for those who want to explore relationships, I get that too. I get that, like, oh, your aura, your vibe, your social media gives very intimidating, very non-approachable, which is so funny because it's like I'm the complete opposite in real life. If you know me well inside, you can attest to this. Like, I am super goofy. I'm super approachable. I'm super fun. I don't look at anyone as beneath me or above me. Everybody is welcome to approach and vice versa. And so it's just the funniest thing. So I'm like, I would never expect anyone to think that I'm intimidating, but I get that all the time. And so I do think, though, to be honest with you, it's not the worst thing that you can be told. And I take it as a compliment because it kind of means that the presence I'm giving off is one that, you shouldn't mess with. That's good. You shouldn't mess with me. You shouldn't mess with anybody.
Well, do you find yourself to be competitive?
I can be. Not always, but I can be. I think in work, I can be. In sports, I can be. But in games, I can be, like when we're going bowling and stuff. Like, I like to win, but I don't think that I'm competitive by nature, meaning where, like, I want other people to be put down so that I can succeed. I'm not like that, no.
Sure, but you strike me as somebody, and I don't know if this is a term that I'm about to create.
Okay.
You strike me as somebody who is very mission competitive, meaning that you take a look at the mission of what you're trying to accomplish, whether that be your organization or otherwise, and you thrive in situations where you feel this is something that should have been done, but for some reason people didn't want to do it. Therefore, not only am I going to do it, but I'm going to do it at the highest level I can. And it's
Yes.
I just imagine you walking into a room full of like pictures on the wall of all the people who haven't donated to women's causes. And you just walk in there and you're like, and just put an X on their face, be like, another donation from that guy. Like, I don't know why I just envision you being driven by that. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing, by the way, Isra.
No, 100%. That's a good thing. I like it. I love that. I am absolutely mission competitive. And there is nothing that I won't do for a good mission. It's so true. Your intentions are the best of intentions. I will go to the end of time for the things I love and the people I love and the mission I'm part of. Like, that's me. Very loyal, very, very much like will do everything I can, put in effort 110%, always. Like, I give everything my all. And if it doesn't work out, then it's like I am always at peace because I'm like, I gave it my all. But that's my nature naturally. Yeah.
So I heard at one point, don't worry, it's not like a secret about you or anything like that.
Fine, even if you wanted to. Go for it.
But I had heard at one point that men who don't work out and feel they should typically follow a lot of men online, like social media. They follow people who are working out a lot, and they see them working out and they see them lifting weights and they see the results they're getting. And sure, part of them will say, I wish I could do that. But the other part kind of feels like, hey, that's okay. I didn't go to the gym because this person's working out. This person I'm seeing is working out. Look at the results they're getting. And they just sit there on their couch with their potato chips, just watching these people working out. And I always found that to be a very interesting thing, in that why would these people who are doing the opposite of being healthy and doing the opposite of what they should be doing, why are they so enamored and why are they so drawn into these people who are out there like David Goggins running, and blistering their feet up? And so if you're wondering where the question for you comes in here, is that at times I wonder, and I'd like to ask you, is there ever a time where you look at all the different women who follow you and ask yourself, are they following me with a genuine intention to join with me, or are they following me with some sort of intention to let me be the one who's doing it, and then they will just kind of stand on the sidelines and applause? And do you ever get to a point sometimes where you say, I just wish more of these people would walk with me rather than having this expectation to walk behind me?
So I would say it definitely applies to men and women for me. I have thought about just in general what motivates people to even support my work online because I think that's a good humble humility thing. I don't think like I'm the best at anything, to be honest with you. I don't think that I have accolades where I'm like, I am so special. I'm God's gift to earth. That's like, first of all, thank God I'm not a narcissist. And I don't live in an echo chamber, actually. And I intentionally don't live in an echo chamber. So what that means for me is that I have colleagues at work. I have those who work for every pregnancy and partners. And I also have friends and I have family. Well, I'm actually always asking to bring feedback to me and to check me if they feel like I'm making a bad decision or a decision that could be edited differently or I should approach something differently. Like that type of feedback loop and open communication is what I value the most in my inner circle. So online, when I see that people are following, oftentimes I don't think about necessarily like, are they looking to me to keep carrying the baton forward? But rather, they're clearly motivated and inspired by something here. And so, how can I get them to take that little bit of inkling or inspiration of why they're even interested in this content or interested in knowing what I'm up to and get them to do something with it? So, I'm always thinking about the how to take people from just being viewers or followers to actually action takers. And that's part of my people power background and my organizing background. That's what I look at. That's how I look at the world around me. And so I oftentimes am always thinking of ways to motivate people to take action on everything from EP to activism. It's just picking up, man, using your platform for good, doing something good at the end of the day where you can be like, dang, okay, I contributed in a positive way today to the world around me instead of just in my own echo chamber, right? Of whatever I wanted to do and everyone around me sort of just nodding at that. But I will say, I do have thoughts oftentimes around, I wish there were more people like me, meaning more people who would just take initiative and just do it, do the thing. And of course, there's so many people, mashallah, in the world. We follow so many of them, so many people that I look up to, my mentors, inspiration to me, people just in general around me in life, my friends in different sectors. And I'm like, you are killing it, mashallah, in that sector. I want the best for you. Keep going. But ultimately, seeing the way the world is that we're living in right now, seeing how horrifying the oppression and injustice is, it really to me signals that there are so many more opportunities for all of us to be stepping up and stepping into our leadership and stepping into our identity as Muslims and our values and saying we got to do more. So a lot of times I hate being at the forefront. I hate being the poster child on things. I don't like to be in that position. I think people do like it. I personally don't. And I oftentimes find myself being put in that position. And I do make the most of it. I do take full, with my full throatedness, my full self, show up being Isra the way I am. And also, I want to always encourage and support bringing anybody else in with me, walking side by side with me, because I think that's the point. And so for me, investing time into youth, into people who want to have informational conversations with me, people who reach out to me online saying, I would love to learn more about your story. I actually put in effort to make all those things happen and have those conversations because I really don't want people to feel like this is a level that you have to attain. I'm just like everybody else doing my best with my privilege and my resources. And I want everyone else to feel that they can do actually better than me and go further than me and have bigger impact than me. And that's really what the message I would tell people from all this is that you can have the impact that you want to have in the world. You have to just believe in yourself first and just do it. It's all about the confidence to just do it. Try. And if you fail, great, pick it up and try again.
Yeah, we actually had Wissam Ghanem. She's a marketing brand guru. We had her on the podcast, and one of the things that she mentioned was, she said, when you think about brand and you think about marketing, and you think about like Nike and just do it. She said the most powerful word is just. It's actually not, do or it. It's just get out there. Just go. So to your point, I definitely believe in that. And so for the let's just say right now for the women that are watching this, because you just mentioned something great, which was, I wish there was kind of a Isra farm out there where we can grow some more Isra'ts and things like that.
I did not say that. But
Paraphrasing. And it's an Arab thing we do. So I'm taking your thoughts, my thoughts, put them out of your mouth. So, but if we had that opportunity and you were speaking right now to those moms and those aunts and those uncles, or even those girls? What is something that you can give to them that your family gave to you to potentially either ignite that fire that's there, or pour some gasoline on that thing and really get it going? What is that thing that you'd want to give them that gets them going? All right, I can be the next Isra. I just have to fill in the blank.
Believe in yourself first and foremost, and believe that your voice can really move mountains. It truly can. There has been so many times in my life, Saeed, where I've doubted my own abilities, my own potential, my own capacity to do something, where I've been more scared of trying than actually doing the thing and seeing what the results are. And so I think naturally, and to be honest, growing up in our Arab community, in Arab families, we're actually trained and conditioned to be risk averse and to go with the flow and be like the status quo and not really challenge ourselves to step out, especially if we feel like we're different in any way. And I always felt like I was different. I always felt like I saw myself impacting things bigger than me, that I didn't want to just go and have a normal career and get married and just sort of just sit there and my day to day life. I never thought that for myself. I always knew that I was bound and like inclined and being called on by Rabbil Alameen to do something bigger. Now, that doesn't mean being famous or successful or rich. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to commit myself to a greater purpose above myself and not allow myself to fall into the same conditioning that our parents were conditioned to believe is success or is fulfillment to guide me. So for me, it's really understanding as a woman, first and foremost, for those who are listening, what does fulfillment look like for you? It may be that vision of being at home with your children and raising them beautifully, which is the best thing anybody can do. Or maybe to go and be boss babe in your career and take it to the next level. It may be to go and travel the world and be a nomad, right? It doesn't really matter. Identify what fulfillment and purpose looks like for you. Identify that you have the core skills within yourself and love yourself. And this is something I still work on. I'm being really vulnerable here. Like, love yourself for what you can contribute to yourself and then what you can give to others, because the validation we need, the reassurance we are seeking, the support we are seeking, wallahi, it's all within ourselves with our faith in Rabbil Alameen. It's not in other people. And that is the biggest advice and lesson learned that I continue to learn actually on a daily basis, is that anytime I feel like I've needed somebody or something to happen to make me feel like I could go out there and reach my full potential, Allah reminds me, no, girl, it's actually in you this whole time. Stop looking externally. Start focusing internally. And when you do good with the good intentions and you believe in your potential and you know that your voice and your ability can make that impact, that's when I would say that's where the just do it comes in, and then run. And like I said, I definitely now I'm not scared of failure. I'm not scared of making mistakes. I'm not scared of growth. I look at everything as a learning opportunity. Heartbreak, tragedy, tribulation, challenge, it's all an opportunity to learn and grow and become the most resilient version of myself that it can possibly be.
Mashallah, that is very well said. And I will tell you, just in knowing Isra, I don't know if I need to make this Isra into a shirt. Maybe I should. But I always tell people, make your name a verb. And when they ask me what I'm talking about, since you're on the episode today, I will say, I have, whether you know this or not, have said to people, you need to just Isra that up real quick.
What?
Yeah. You need to you need to go and just Linda that thing a little bit. You need to do Linda. If you just Layla that thing. And so I have found that some of my superstar friends, I use their names as verbs. And when I say you need to Isra that thing up, that means you need to go swinging at that thing and don't take strikeouts. There are no strikeouts. Keep swinging for the fences and get it done. So, mashallah, again, I really appreciate you being here, and I wanted to make sure before we as we wrap up, and for all the Arab that are listening, saying he has said now 3 times before we wrap up. you're clearly not a real Arab because you would know that's our forte. So stop hating on me. Yani, it is what it is. I just want to remind everybody you can follow Isra at Isra Speaks. That's ISRASPEAKS, and follow Every Pregnancy at Every Pregnancy as well, mashallah. So now we are at the point of the show, which is what I call the Al-Bab portion. The Al-Bab portion, if you all have not heard this already on any of the episodes, is the most favorite part of any Arab gathering after the food is done, of course, and after the knafa is done, and after the shai is done, which is that period of time when you're at the door and everybody thinks they're leaving. You start putting in jacket and they hand you your shoes, and because they took them to some other room and whatever, the azuma was crazy, there was no place to sit. And then you think you're leaving and they start asking questions, especially the Arab moms out there. They're like, Afikra, before you go, Afikra, what happened with your cousin's exam? Did they pass? You know, and it's like, yeah, they passed. Oh, yeah? Afikra, how's your mom doing with the medication? Like, so this is where we're at right now. And I attach, in the Arab is me, I attach a charitable aspect to this, because some people out there do drinking games and do all sorts of games, and I don't drink. So I do something different at the Al-Bab, which is we donate. So Isra, I'm going to ask you some questions because, of course, you pick Every Pregnancy as the organization, alhamdulillah, as you should. I don't think after this whole podcast it's any advantage to me to say we should choose something else. So Every Pregnancy is the organization. If you get through all the questions, I'll donate on behalf of Arab is Me podcast to Every Pregnancy. But if you stumble on any or I declare the answer insufficient, then you have to donate. But knowing both of us, we'll both donate, inshallah.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go very quick with these because I got to respect mom time as well. So here we go. Question number 1. Your friend gets married and you buy them a wedding gift. Then, unfortunately, it didn't work out. They get divorced. This happens. Okay. But then they get married again and you buy them another gift and it didn't work out again.
Yumma.
And then they get married. You buy them another gift. And again, it didn't work out. So my question for you is, Isra, do you, Isra Chaker, at any point stop giving them wedding gifts? Do you reduce it? Or are you financially committed to their love life forever?
Last one. I told you, I'm a ride or die. I'm financially committed. I'm committed with the support, the hype. I'll throw all the bridal showers 3 times in a row. I'll make it all happen because I'm a sucker for love and I'm a sucker for my family and community.
Okay, that's she's nicer than I am, and I will tell you guys. And I start a 10% reduction starting on the 3rd, and it goes from there. If you get to, that means if you get the 13th, you get no gift. All right. So, if someone was interested in you, Isra, and they invite you to a coffee shop, but when you arrive to the coffee shop, you already noticed that they bought theirs already. What is the next move with that brother?
Never speaking to him after that day again. If he didn't order mine.
But are you sticking around for the coffee? Are you going to go buy a coffee?
No. I'm not going to buy one. I'm going to sit there without drinking one unless he offers me one. But I'm sticking around because I'm really like big on adab. And to me, like I don't just walk away. That's not, I wouldn't do that in a business meeting. I wouldn't do that in a personal meeting. But for that level, just lack of consideration. But I will tell you, one of my biggest icks is a lack of consideration.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we have a lack of consideration question coming up now, which is you buy your Arab friend a lunch just to be nice. And the next time you're out with them eating lunch again, that same friend tells you when the bill comes, hey, do you just want to split it? What's your next move?
Split the bill or pay for the whole thing.
No way.
Pay for the whole thing just to
exactly. See, I'm glad you didn't lie because there's no. First of all,
you know me.
Anyone who knows Isra, she not only would she pay for the whole thing, but you had just put a deposit on the last lunch Isra is gonna go with you on for a long time. You're gonna be You're literally going to be downgraded to a coffee friend after that. The next time you say, let's get lunch, she's going to lie to you and say she already ate. Let's just get coffee because she doesn't want to risk another $50 tab being dropped on her. She can live with 8 or 9, mashallah. All right, cool. All right. I'm not going to make you donate, even though I know you're you're dancing around some of these. All right. So last couple here. If a random white person walks up to Isra Chaker and says, hey, I think I know you. Are you Pakistani? Do you explain to them that there's no such thing as Pakistani, or do you just answer?
I say, no, I'm Syrian. That's all I do. I redirect. Pivot.
All right. All right. So that's a good one then, because I did have another one. If you had a friend, okay, you have your random white friend or Arab friend, whatever. They bring you to a little gathering with people you've never met, and they say, by the way, this is my friend Isra. She's actually Lebanese.
Yumma.
And then you say to her, I'm actually Syrian. And she says back, potato, potato, it's all the same thing. What's your next response?
I'll say, no, it's not, girl. It is not the same thing. We don't erase our ethnic roots in our own community, okay? We don't do what the white people do for us. So you say where I'm from with a proud chest. If you don't remember, it's fine. But my thing is like, أهلا وسهلا, تحية لأهل لبنان, تحية لأهل سوريا, تحية لأهل فلسطين. Everybody gets credit, but do not make a mistake. I will correct you if you make a mistake about where I'm from, but I will do it in the most loving and kind way possible.
Boy, do I love interviewing people with PR training. Did you see how she navigated that one? She said to herself, when he said Lebanese, I said, yumma. And that could really piss off some Lebanese people. So let me clean this up on the way out. And there's the classic snort. We knew we'd get one before this is all done. Oh my goodness, my wife is going to laugh. Before we did the interview, I was like, how many snorts do you think I'm going to get? She's like, at least one. So I'm glad we were able to hit the one. So the last couple real quick here, and then I want to let you go.
I can't believe that was so funny.
Yeah. The last couple that we have.
We just unveiled a new thing about me, a new detail.
What's the new detail?
That I snort when I laugh.
Yeah.
Genuinely laugh.
Well, if you want to find more about Isra, make sure, again, I'm having all the following. Follow Isra there. And I'm also going to put in the caption, in case anyone maybe didn't hear this part, but Isra also, you are going to have a new podcast with every pregnancy, right? Isn't it called Born Into with Isra Chaker?
It's already live. We have season 1 done. You have to go check it out, everybody. Listen to Born Into and learn really about the stories of moms and babies around the world, how incredible the different advocates and champions are doing life-saving work.
Awesome. So everybody go follow that. So the last couple of things I have for you here, and then we'll let you go, which is first, khishna or nama?
Oh my God, my mom is going to be so disappointed. My mom makes amazing knafe, but I love name more. I just do the name nabisiye, yum. Yes.
Okay, let's try to wrap this up. Let's get this wrapped up. I'm just gonna skip a couple of those questions.
Dang.
I can't believe it.
I'll donate double now.
All right. So the last one that I want to ask you is, if you are running late to a friend's party, whatever it may be, and that friend is waiting for you, you put it into your GPS and you see you are 1 hour away. And your friend texts you and says, Isra, how far are you? I want you to tell me honestly. Allah's watching. What is your response back to that person when they ask how far you are and how long you're going to be? Allah's watching.
I'm feeling personally attacked.
I'm just saying.
Okay,
Are you gonna tell
I
them
will
1
tell
hour?
you, I will not. I will do my best to avoid giving actual factual details. I will say, "Be there soon." I will find ways to be like, "Oh, inshallah shortly." Like, I will find ways to avoid it, but that my biggest fear in those situations is when they go, "No, send me your location or give me your ETA."
Ooh, la hada, that's too
Yumma,
much.
la wallah, I'm not doing it. La wallah, my phone all of a sudden is not working. No, I will tell you, I usually be like, honest to God, I try to shave off the time by 10 to 15 minutes because I think I
Yeah.
can fast enough to get there by that time.
Well, I'm just gonna remind everybody, again, just a little tip. It's a trick that you can use for these situations. Always remember, the more graphic your response, the better. People will leave you alone. So don't tell them, sorry, I just had some things. Tell them I had this had. The more you tell them the graphic stuff, like, "I'm sorry, I had this hat and I had to change." They are gonna be like, "This lady had to change." And I am telling you, they will not ask you about the 1 hour. They will not they will not care. They will literally applaud you when you show up. So that's how you can take a bad scenario and turn it into a good one. This is, my name is Saidara, and I approve this message.
Oh my
So
God, Jay, that's crazy. Ishal means diarrhea for everyone
Y
listening.
the more graphic you get, the better your life will be, even if it's untrue.
So
Trust me.
crazy. Yeah.
So, with that being said, again, I really appreciate you being on today. Isra Chaker, mashallah. You're doing some amazing things in the community. I hope everybody not only follows you, but jumps on board to the many different campaigns that you're going to be working on. And I genuinely hope people get more engaged, because at every pregnancy and the work that you all are doing, mashallah, it's not $1 million thing. 20 bucks, 30 bucks, or just sitting down with their friends and say, I just spoke to my friend Isra. She works at every pregnancy. Do you guys know what that is? And explaining to them for 5 minutes what that is. And you have at least an hour to explain it, because she's running late and she's not going to be there anyway. Tikzib command. This is really, alhamdulillah, all her work is honest, even if that text message was not. But
I, I didn't tell you I was gonna be honest. I was gonna say anything to avoid being direct about it.
anything to avoid being
And I'm
direct.
not gonna say Ishal. That's crazy. That is a crazy thing to say to people.
One day you're gonna be in this situation. You're gonna say to your and my voice that come into your head, and you're gonna like, do I use it here? And you're gonna use it, and you're gonna call me after and say it saved your life.
I'm dead.
So again,
I just
thank you, Isra, for being on Arab is Me
Saeed.
podcast. I really appreciate it. And again, everybody, you can follow Isra. We've been posting it there, but in case you need to hear it again, Isra Speaks and Every Pregnancy. Thanks again, Isra. We appreciate it. And thanks all of you for listening to the Arab is Me podcast. We hope to see you on another episode very soon.
Thanks, Saeed. This is amazing.
Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.